Hi everyone. For my research, I did the Cordón Caulle earthquake. This happened in Chile in 2011. It happened June 4th, 2011 through April 21st, 2012. It was an eruption that happened in the Cordón Caulle chain of south central Chile, chain of mountain range. It's the anonymous volcanic complex in Chile. It basically was a series of earthquakes that were first reported, followed by an eruption. 18 days after it erupted, lava began to spill from the volcano, heading west and flowing slowly, channel about 50 meters. Um, According to Argentinian physicists, which Argentina is located right next to Chile, the eruption sent 100 million tons of ash, sand, and pumice stone, equivalent to the load of 24 million trucks of sand, released power equivalent to 70 atomic bombs, which is about 1 megaton. Um, the eruption, although it was violent, was expected to fertilize land and rivers. As far as the human impact, about 3,500 people were evacuated from nearby areas, and the ash cloud was blown across cities all across the southern hemisphere and actually really around the world. Some notable ones that you could really see where the ash settled was Buenos Aires was one, Cape Town, Sydney, Melbourne, among others. Forced airlines to cancel hundreds of international domestic flights and caused a travel chaos due to all of the particles in the air. By the time June 18th reached, the ash cloud had completed its first circle of the globe. Um, the Chilean Civil Aviation Authority claimed a state of emergency, followed by the Chilean government and the National Emergencies Office. A lot of families refused to evacuate. They were then forced to evacuate. There was no recorded deaths or serious injuries, so that was good. A lot of people didn't want to leave their livestock behind. That was a big issue. They were permitted to stay, and as far as it was recorded, there was no death reported there, so that's good. As far as environmental impacts, there was definitely spread of atmospheric aerosol particles into the air, and there was concerns about water quality issues and air quality issues in surrounding and affected areas. The ash cloud led to Argentina declaring a state of emergency for farmers because the prolonged effects of the eruption basically affected a lot of livestock there. And it also suffered a large drought before that, and so there was only a limited amount of pasture land, and this destroyed what pasture land that they had left. And there was a lot of livestock that suffered major heart attacks, and also a lot of them that contracted throat cancer, resulting in death. So there's not a lot of things that are published support for the existence of the heart attacks and cancer, but many personal accounts vouch for this. As far as fascinating facts that I learned about transverse faults, which is actually what the Cordon Caulle or mountain range sits on. I also learned more about how those work. They slip past one another due to a strike slip motion, and it's a more of a horizontal motion that ends abruptly and is connected to another transform spreading ridge that is usually like a subduction zone. I also learned that this volcano had actually erupted before, and it erupted last time in 1960, so this was the first time in 51 years that an eruption had occurred. And I don't know if I stated how it happened June 4th, 2011, and the effects lasted all the way through April 21st, 2012. As far as sources that I used Wikipedia, obviously, and then outside of Wikipedia, I used an article written on the Atlantic called Chile's Paye Volcano Erupts by Alan Taylor. I used a couple of YouTube videos that talked about what had happened. I used falseweb.net. I also used volcanodiscovery.com and researchgate.net. Thanks.